are made. So after 20 days, it is placed to the compressive testing machine, and a compressive load is applied. Okay, so the compressive test is applied, compressive force is applied. So, so the compressive force create the stresses inside the member. So how we get the stress? This value divided by the area. So we get the stress. So this is a this is created inside the member. So we know the stress and also the deformation. So how deformation takes place, that is also, that can also get from the dial gauge, means the from the machine, from display we get the deformation, and we know that strain is, this is del L, change in length by the original length. So the strain you can get. So if I plot the stress strain diagram, the stress is plotted on y axis and strain is plotted on x axis. If I draw the stress strain diagram for low compressive, for low compressive concrete, so this type of curve you shall get, and for moderate type of concrete, this type of curve you shall get, and for high, this is. So you see that this is a short part curve, this is the flatter, then this is the maximum. So this is the, so you see that this is a maximum compressive strength. Okay, this is maximum. So when it reaches to that value, so what happened after that, load is gradually falling down, load is gradually falling down. Okay, so this value you know, and this value divided by the area of specimen, area of cube, is called that you get the ultimate strength. So what is the ultimate strength? So after ultimate strength, so beyond ultimate strength, the member cannot carry the load. Okay, so you see that the load is the stress is gradually reducing, and finally the failure occur, ruptures occur. So this is a rupture point, ultimate strength. So after ultimate strength, it will not carry the load. So that's why the stress is decreasing, and finally the rupture takes place. So the stress strain diagram of the concrete is, you see that it is a non-linear. Okay, the non-linear curve, you get a non-linear curve. So next I move to the next slide. So as I have said, the concrete is made by two material, one is concrete and another is steel. So reinforcement are used in concrete. Why reinforcement are used in concrete? Because the concrete is weak in tension. Concrete is weak in tension and strong in compression. So that's why reinforcement are used in the tensile zone of the concrete section. Generally the reinforcement are embedded inside the concrete. So reinforcement are used to increase the strength of the concrete. So both the compressive strength as well as tensile strength, both are increased, but mainly the tensile, because the concrete is weaker in tension. So that's why mainly for tensile, uh, mainly to improve the tensile strength, the reinforcement are used. So different reinforcement bars are used in RC design. So we start from 6, 8, 12, 16, 20, 25. So 5 is the diameter of the bar. So, and one thing you note, that you cannot design the bar using 7.5, because these bars are not available in market. So when you design a member, so those bars you have to consider. Okay, 25 and so on, 20, 25. So also the larger diameters are available, but the which are available in market, so only those bar you have to use. Otherwise, your design is not practical. So, so as you know, as I have discussed, that concrete has different grade, and based on compressive strength, the concrete, different grade of concretes are used in design. So similarly, different grade of steel are also used. So here the two type of steels are mainly used: mild steel and high strength steel. And you know that steel is an alloy, and which mainly contains iron and carbon. So mild steel is designated by Fe250. So where 250 is the yield strength of the steel. So this is the 250 is the yield strength. 250 is the yield strength, and similar the high strength steel also designated by Fe 415, Fe 500, and so on. So sometimes it is called HYST bar. So H means high, Y for yield, and S for strength, and D for ductile. So HYST bars are also used in design, and in that ductility. So steel has unique property. So it has so the property is ductility. Ductility. So steel has the ductility. Uh, so what is ductility? Ductility means the it can change its shape without fracture. Okay, or it can absorb energy, and when the loads are removed, it bring back to the original length. So those things are called the, and also the inelastic deformation. Large inelastic deformation took place, and when the loads are removed uh, without loss of strength and stiffness, it come back to the original position. So the ductility, steel has ductility, steel is ductile. Uh, so the high strength steel are designated by the Fe 415 and Fe 500. So this is the stress strain diagram of mild steel. So you see that this is the engineering stress strain diagram. So this is an engineering stress strain diagram of mild steel. The stress is plotted on y-axis, strain is plotted on x-axis. Now here the specimens. Specimen means the reinforcement bar or steel bar placed on universal testing machine, and one initial load is applied. Okay, so we'll get the load value we know, and area you know. So we get the stress, and the strain also you can get from the dial gauge. So deformation you know. So from deformation you can find out strain. So this curve has two parts. One is the linear part, another is non-linear part. So in linear part, so this point A is called the modulus of A is called the yield strength. So this is called yield strength Fy. And this portion is elastic. Okay, so this portion is elastic, means the material obey Hooke's law. Stress is proportional to strain. So how we get the Young modulus? So this is nothing but the slope of the linear part of the curve. So this slope is stress by strain, this coordinate by this length, this length by this length, this vertical length by horizontal length. So we'll get the Young modulus, which is equal to stress by strain. And after, so beyond Fy, so after Fy, you see that the strain curve, stress strain curve is non-linear, and it reaches to the ultimate strain. Okay, so after ultimate strain, load is falling down. So it means that it does not carry the load. It does not carry the load. So that's why the strength is reducing, and finally fractures occur. So that is the ultimate strength. So now the design stress strain diagrams are considered, because to simplify the analysis, to simplify the design, the design stress strain diagrams are considered where stress and strain, and you see that when it reaches to the yield stress, after that stress is not varying. Stress is not varying, stress is constant, but the strain is increasing, but stress is not varying when it reaches to the yield stress. And why these design stress strain diagrams are there? Because to simplify the analysis, if I consider the actual stress strain diagram, then it is very difficult to solve the equations, and unnecessarily the analysis become difficult, as well as design also difficult. So that's why these idealized stress strain diagrams are considered for the analysis for the analysis as well as design. So these stress strain diagrams are considered for the design purpose, and when you design the member, so these idealized stress strain diagrams are considered, not the actual.